My grandmother died twice. The first time was in 2019, when she stopped recognizing me. She'd look at me with these searching eyes, trying to find the grandson she'd raised in the stranger sitting across from her. The second time was 3 years later, when her body finally caught up with her mind. Alzheimer's. When I was cleaning out her house afterward, I found a shoebox in her closet. Inside were photographs, letters, and a handwritten family medical history she'd kept for decades. Cancer took her father. Heart disease took her mother. Diabetes took 2 of her brothers. And Alzheimer's took her. 4 different diseases. 4 different organ systems. 4 different ways to die. Or so I thought, because 6 months ago, I started investigating something that changed everything I believed about disease, aging, and my own future. Artificial intelligence has now analyzed more biological data across more diseases than every human doctor in history combined. And it found a pattern that medicine has been missing for a century. Cancer, Alzheimer's, heart disease, diabetes. They're not 4 different diseases. They're 4 different symptoms of one underlying biological process happening inside your body right now. And here's what stopped me cold. The solution isn't some future drug. It isn't locked in a pharmaceutical vault. Your own biology already contains the blueprint to fix it. Evolution solved this problem millions of years ago. We just couldn't read the instructions until now. I'm Will Chun. I spent 12 years as a biochemist before leaving academia to decode the science of human longevity. I've consulted for biotech startups, interviewed Nobel laureates, and spent 2 years tracking the collision between AI and aging research. What I'm about to share with you is the most important health story of our generation. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's breaking down inside your body, why it's happening, and what you can do. Let's begin. Imagine a town where every night, buildings catch fire, the hospital burns, then the library, then the school. Every time, the fire department rushes in. They've built specialized units for each type of building. The hospital fire team, the school fire team. They're excellent at their jobs. They study the unique architecture. They save some people. They slow the damage. But the fires keep spreading. Nobody thinks to check if all the buildings share the same faulty wiring. That's modern medicine. In the United States alone, we spend $4.5 trillion every year on healthcare. That's more than the GDP of Germany. And yet, the rates of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and Alzheimer's are higher than they were 40 years ago. Alzheimer's prevalence has more than doubled since 1990. Type 2 diabetes has tripled. Autoimmune conditions have exploded. Oncologists study cancer, cardiologists specialize in heart disease. But we've lost sight of the forest for the trees. Your body isn't a collection of isolated organs. It's an integrated biological system. For decades, that question wasn't answerable. The human body is too complex. Too many variables for any human to analyze. We were trying to find patterns in a haystack the size of a galaxy. And then artificial intelligence entered the picture, and everything changed. But before I show you what AI discovered, I need to tell you about a controversy happening right now in the longevity research community. Because not everyone agrees with what I'm about to share. Dr. Jael, a demographer at the University of Illinois who's studied aging for 40 years, told me directly, the idea that we can cure aging is oversold. We've made almost no progress on maximum human lifespan in the last century. People live longer on average because we've reduced early deaths, not because we've slowed aging itself. He is right to be cautious. The history of anti-aging research is littered with failures, frauds, and false promises. Resveratrol, the red wine compound that was supposed to extend lifespan, largely failed in human trials. Human growth hormone, once hyped as an anti-aging miracle, turned out to increase cancer risk. Telomerase activation, extending the protective caps on chromosomes, actually accelerates cancer in some contexts. So I want to be clear, I'm not here to sell you false hope. I'm here to show you what the evidence actually says, where we have strong data, where we're still uncertain, and what you can reasonably conclude. With that caveat, let me show you what AI found. In the last 5 years, machine learning has been analyzing multiomics data, genomics, your DNA sequence. Transcriptomics, gene activity. Proteomics, protein production. Metabolomics, chemical signatures. Epigenomics, gene regulation. For millions of people, across decades of their lives, across every major disease category. This is unprecedented, and the AI started finding something that shook the foundations of how we understand disease. Diseases that we thought were completely unrelated were lighting up the same biological pathways. In 2019, researchers at the UK Biobank used machine learning to analyze health data from over 500,000 people. They measured thousands of biological markers, inflammatory proteins, metabolic signatures, epigenetic patterns, published in Nature Communications, replicated, and here's what they found. The same biological markers that predicted cancer also predicted risk for heart disease, Alzheimer's, and diabetes. The correlation was so strong that researchers started asking, what if these aren't separate diseases at all? What if they're different expressions of the same underlying breakdown? In 2023, a landmark paper provided the framework. Leading aging researchers updated the 12 hallmarks of aging. 12 interconnected cellular and molecular mechanisms that deteriorate as you get older. And here's the insight. Every chronic disease is downstream of the breakdown of one or more of these hallmarks. Cancer, driven by genomic instability and cellular senescence, when damaged cells refuse to die and release inflammatory signals. Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, primarily loss of proteostasis. The plaques and tangles are misfolded proteins the brain couldn't clear. Type 2 diabetes, deregulated nutrient sensing, and mitochondrial dysfunction, your cellular power plants, producing less energy. Cardiovascular disease, chronic, low-grade inflammation, inflammaging, plus stem cell exhaustion, your body losing the ability to repair. These 12 hallmarks don't operate in isolation. They're interconnected in a cascading network. Genomic instability triggers epigenetic alterations, which accelerates cellular senescence, which drives chronic inflammation. It's not 12 separate problems. It's one unified process with 12 observable dimensions. Dr. Eric Verdin of the Buck Institute explained, "We used to think aging was wear and tear, like a car breaking down. Now we understand it's more like a software program with bugs. And if you can identify the bugs, theoretically, you can fix them." This framework is the dominant model, but it's not proven beyond dispute. Science is a process, not a fixed truth. But what is clear is this: aging is not merely the passage of time. Aging is a biological process, and biological processes can be intervened upon. Which brings us to the most important question of your life. If aging is the disease, what happens if we treat the root cause? That's where your own biology becomes the discovery of all. Let me tell you about a woman named Jean Comment, born in Arles, France, in 1875. She met Vincent van Gogh as a teenager. She later said he was dirty, badly dressed, and disagreed. She lived through 2 world wars, the invention of the airplane, the internet, the smartphone. She smoked cigarettes until she was 117. She drank port wine. She ate 2 pounds of chocolate per week. And she died in 1997 at the age of 122 years and 164 days. The oldest verified human being in recorded history. But here's what's medically remarkable about Jean Comment. She didn't die of cancer or Alzheimer's. She lived essentially disease-free for over a century. When she finally died, it was biological exhaustion. Her body simply stopped. Jean Comment is an extreme example. But she's not a miracle. She's a data point. There are currently somewhere between 300 and 450 verified supercentenarians alive on Earth, people who've reached 110 years or older. When scientists started studying their genetics, they found something unexpected. It's not that these people don't have genetic risk factors. They carry the same bad genes the rest of us carry, but they also carry protective genetic variants that counteract those risks. Researchers at Boston University have sequenced the genomes of over 2,000 centenarians and identified specific protective variants like FOXO3. FOXO3 is a master regulator of cellular stress response. Carrying one variant makes you 2.7 times more likely to reach 100. Then there's the epsilon dose allele, which is associated with up to 87% lower risk of Alzheimer's. Centenarians with CETP variants have arteries that look decades younger than their chronological age. They have natural cardiovascular protection. Evolution has already solved the aging problem in a small subset of humans. They won the genetic lottery. And here's where AI changes everything. AI can analyze the combinatorial effect of hundreds of variants simultaneously using machine learning. Researchers identified polygenic longevity signatures combinations that predict extreme longevity with high accuracy. If I can identify this combination, then gene therapy or CRISPR could potentially replicate these protections in anyone. You weren't born with the longevity genes Gene Comment had. But could you receive them as therapy? George Church's lab at Harvard has extended the lifespan of mice by 40% using 3 gene therapies. But mice are not humans. Altos Labs, funded by Jeff Bezos, is working on cellular rejuvenation reprogramming cells to younger biological states. The first human applications are likely 10 to 15 years away. For the first time, we can see the path to aging being a treatable condition. We're not there yet, but we can see the road. And here's what you can do right now while we wait for the future to arrive. Everything I'm about to share is based on peer-reviewed research. Not supplements from influencers, not biohacks from Reddit threads, not products I'm being paid to promote. Evidence-based interventions shown in human studies to address one or more of the 12 hallmarks. But I need you to understand something critical. Not all evidence is equal. Some of what I'll share has decades of robust human data, randomized controlled trials, meta-analyses, consistent replication. Some has promising but preliminary evidence, early human trials, strong mechanistic rationale, but not yet proven at scale. Some is experimenty, exciting preclinical data, early human studies, but with significant uncertainty. I'll tell you which is which, because I'd rather you trust me on the strong stuff than dismiss everything because I oversold the weak stuff. Let's go through what actually works. Tier 1. Strong evidence. Do these. The single most evidence-backed intervention for addressing multiple hallmarks simultaneously is one you already know. Exercise. I know. It sounds boring. It sounds obvious. You wanted a pill? But the data is overwhelming. A 2022 meta-analysis found that 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity exercise reduced all-cause mortality by 31%. Why? Because exercise addresses at least 6 hallmarks simultaneously. It improves mitochondrial function. It reduces chronic inflammation. It maintains telomere length. It enhances autophagy. It preserves stem cell function. It improves nutrient-sensing pathways. One intervention, 6 hallmarks. Dr. Peter Asher told me. If exercise were a pill, it would be the most prescribed medication in history. Nothing else comes close. Zone 2 cardio. Exercising at a pace where you can still hold a conversation specifically builds mitochondrial capacity. 3 to 4 hours per week. Resistance training, lifting weights, preserves muscle mass, bone density, and stem cell function. 2 to 3 sessions per week. If you do nothing else from this video, do this. Sleep, 7 to 9 hours per night isn't a luxury. It's when your body runs its maintenance programs. During deep sleep, cerebrospinal fluid pulses through your brain, clearing misfolded proteins. Sleep deprivation accelerates literally every hallmark. If you're sleeping 6 hours and taking supplements, you're mopping the floor while the faucet runs. Nutrition. Nutrition. The strongest dietary evidence for longevity isn't a specific supplement. It's a pattern. The Mediterranean diet. A 2018 meta-analysis found Mediterranean diet adherence associated with 25% reduced risk of cardiovascular events and 40% reduced risk of type 2 diabetes. Specifically eliminate or dramatically reduce ultra-processed foods. They are likely the single largest dietary driver of chronic inflammation. Stress and social connection. Chronic psychological stress accelerates telomere shortening. Loneliness is a biological stressor. Social isolation increases mortality risk by 26%. The effect size is comparable to smoking. Loneliness is a stressor. Connection is a necessity.
Tier 2. Promising evidence. Consider these. Time-restricted eating. Limiting your eating window to 8 to 10 hours per day, for example. Eating between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. has been shown in human studies to improve metabolic markers, insulin sensitivity, and inflammatory profiles. A 2022 study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that time-restricted eating improved weight loss and metabolic health beyond calorie restriction alone. The mechanism activating autophagy, your body's cellular recycling system, and improving nutrient-sensing pathways. This addresses at least two hallmarks: loss of proteostasis and deregulated Important caveat: if you have a history of eating disorders, diabetes, or are pregnant or nursing, talk to your doctor before trying fasting protocols. Heat and cold exposure. Sauna use has surprisingly robust data. A 2015 Finnish study following over 2,000 men for 20 years found that using a sauna for 2-7 times per week was associated with a 40% reduced risk of all-cause mortality. Mechanism: heat shock proteins, improved cardiovascular function, and reduced inflammation. Cold exposure, like cold plunges, activates mitochondrial biogenesis and brown fat. The evidence is less robust than for sauna, but the mechanistic rationale is strong. Metformin and berberine. Metformin is being tested in the landmark dummy trial specifically for its potential longevity effects because it improves insulin sensitivity and mitochondrial function. However, the trial hasn't reported results yet, and it may blunt exercise benefits. Berberine is a natural compound that works through similar pathways, but with a smaller evidence base. Neither is proven to extend human lifespan yet. Promising, but not proven. Tier 3. Experimental approach with caution. Not precursors MNNN. Are these boost NOD plus a molecule critical for mitochondrial function that declines with age? Animal data is exciting, but human data is mixed. No human trial has yet shown increased lifespan. These are likely safe, but unproven for slowing aging in humans. Senolytics compounds that clear senescent cells. This is one of the most exciting areas in aging research. Senescent cells, or zombie cells, accumulate with age and release inflammatory signals. Drugs like dasatinib, combined with quercetin, have been shown in early human trials at Mayo Clinic to reduce this burden. A 2019 study showed improved walking speed in patients after treatment. But remember, dasatinib is a chemotherapy drug with real side effects. Do not try to self-administer senolytics without medical supervision. Fisetin found in strawberries has shown senolytic properties in animal models and is safer than but still preliminary. Let me summarize the tiers. Strong evidence. Do these.
Exercise 150 plus minutes cardio, 2 to 3x resistance training, sleep 7 to 9 hours, Mediterranean diet, eliminate ultra-processed foods, manage stress, maintain social connection. Promising evidence. Consider these: time-restricted eating, sauna use, possibly cold exposure. Discuss metformin or berberine with your doctor. Experimental approach with caution. NAD precursors, probably safe, but unproven. Senolytics, exciting but do not self-administer without medical supervision. That's the honest hierarchy. And here's something crucial. The strong evidence interventions are free. You don't need expensive supplements. You don't need biohacking gadgets. You don't need longevity clinics. Walk, sleep, eat vegetables, connect with people. The boring stuff is the proven stuff. Everything else is optimization at the margins. Now let me tell you about something that exists today that most people don't know about. AI-powered biological age testing. Your chronological age is how many years you've been alive. Your biological age is how old your body actually is, based on measurable Some 50-year-olds have the biology of some have the biology of a 6. The difference predicts disease risk and mortality far better than birthdays. Companies offer epigenetic age tests, measuring DNA methylation patterns that correlate with biological aging. You send a blood sample. AI analyzes your methylation patterns. You get a report showing your biological age. I got my own test done 8 months ago. My chronological age was 38. My biological age came back at 43. That was a wake-up call. I restructured my sleep. I increased my zone to cardio. I eliminated ultra-processed foods. I retested 4 months later. Biological age, 39. I reversed 4 years of biological aging in 4 months. The fundamentals work, and now we can measure it. So, let's zoom out. In 1900, the average human lifespan was 47 years. We doubled it in a century through public health, antibiotics, vaccines. But here's what most people don't realize. We added those years mostly by preventing early death from infectious disease, from childbirth, from accidents. We didn't actually slow aging itself. Maximum human lifespan has barely budged. Gene Cummins' 122-year record hasn't been broken. The oldest verified humans have been dying in the same range for decades. What we're talking about now is different. Not just adding years to life. Adding life 2 years, compressing the period of disease and decline at the end of life, extending the period of vitality. Imagine reaching 80 with the body of a 90 with the body of a not shuffling through your final decades in and out of hospitals, losing your memory, losing your independence, but hiking, traveling, playing with great-grandchildren, contributing, living. That's the goal. And it's increasingly achievable. But I need to be honest about something else. This future raises profound questions we haven't answered. If these therapies work, if we add 20 or 30 healthy years to human lifespan, who gets access? Right now, cutting-edge longevity diagnostics and interventions are expensive. Biological age testing costs hundreds of dollars. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy costs thousands. Terapies, when they arrive, will likely cost tens or hundreds of thousands initially. Will longevity become another inequality? The wealthy living decades longer than the poor? What happens to social systems, pensions, healthcare, social security, designed for people who die in their 70s and 80s? What happens to population, to resources, to the environment, and perhaps most personally, what does life mean when death becomes optional? I don't have answers to these questions. No one does yet. But I know this. For all of human history, our ancestors watched their children die of infections. They watched their parents deteriorate into dementia. They watched their own bodies betray them, and they accepted it because they had no choice. And then, generation by generation, we decided we did have a choice. We invented vaccines, antibiotics, surgery, sanitation. We refused to accept preventable death as fate, and now we're making that choice again. We're refusing to accept that Alzheimer's is inevitable, that cancer is just bad luck, that your body has to fall apart in your 60s. The tools are arriving: AI, genomics, gene editing, personalized medicine. The question isn't whether this future is coming. The question is whether you'll be ready for it. Let me tell you why I made this video. Last month, I got a message from a viewer named David. He's 52. He watched one of my earlier videos about metabolic health. He wrote, "My dad died at 54 from a heart attack. My grandfather died at 58. I've spent my whole life assuming I'd be next. I thought it was genetic fate. After watching your video, I got a full cardiac workup for the first time. Turns out I have a treatable condition, elevated LPA. That was probably what killed my dad and grandfather. My doctor put me on a protocol. She said if my dad had known, he might still be alive. My life expectancy just changed because I understood my biology instead of accepting fate. Thank you. That's why I do this. Not to sell supplements, not to hype unproven therapies, not to promise immortality. To give you the knowledge to understand your body. To show you that family history isn't a death sentence, it's a warning you can act on. To give you agency over your own biology. Because the science is moving fast. And most people, including most doctors, aren't keeping up. My grandmother didn't have access to any of this. She didn't know about epigenetics. She couldn't measure her biological age. She didn't understand that Alzheimer's wasn't random bad luck. It was a process that might have been intervened upon decades earlier. She didn't have a choice. You do. If this video changed how you think about disease and aging, subscribe right now. Hit the notification bell. This is just the beginning. We're going to go deep on each of the 12 hallmarks. the specific science, the interventions, the AI tools. Next week, cellular senescence, the zombie cells accelerating your aging, and the experimental drugs that kill them. I'll break down the Mayo Clinic trials, the compounds that actually work, how to know if you have a senescent cell burden. Leave a comment. What's your biggest health concern? I read every comment, and the best questions become future videos. If someone you love needs to see this, share this video with them. This is a blueprint for a longer, healthier, more vital life. You don't have to wait for gene therapy. You can start forging your future today. I'm Will Chun. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and never stop asking what's possible. I'll see you in the next one.